Journey Together is tanking in price. However, it does make you wonder if this is a positive sign for the future of Pokemon cards availability. Though before we get into today's video, I'm actually gifting this Infernape illustration rare from Twilight Masquerade. Now, to know if you won this awesome card, if I reply to your comment with this brand new toucan emoji, then congratulations, this awesome illustration rare is getting sent your way. And as always, if you are new to the channel, welcome aboard. My name's Phil. Definitely feel free to subscribe to stay in the loop for consistent Pokemon investing and Pokemon collecting related topics. Though Journey Together has been an incredibly strange release, right? Because the second it got announced for pre-orders, the set just sold out in seconds. I mean, the whole Pokemon Center website crashed and everyone was just like super hyping the set up. Though I feel a lot of the people hoarding the set and the scalpers are kind of now sobering up to what's really happened, and they're realizing, hey, maybe this set along with the cards wasn't that incredibly special or that great as I was anticipating. But let's actually look at Journey Together because it's actually pretty eye-opening. All right, so the first one that we're on is the Journey Together booster box, right? So this has had a pretty upwards journey ever since it kind of came out, right? Because Journey Together was just so hyped, man. And now, like I said, people are kind of realizing, yes, it's a good set, but it's probably a okay to decent set. It's not like a 10 out of 10 set, right? So check this out. You can see in the last month, the Journey Together booster box went up all the way to 285 US, and you can just see in the last few days, selling right now for 234. A big reason for that, which I'm about to take you through right now, is that the singles are coming down in price. Though, you know, while prices continue to fall and kind of find this stabilization, a great way to stay up to date with community-driven prices is through Misprint, which is the paid partner of today's video. So what makes Misprint stand out so much is that not only does it have a buy now feature, but it also has a one-of-a-kind sell now feature. So for example, with Journey Together prices kind of being a little bit unpredictable right now, on Misprint, buyers can actually set the price that they're willing to pay. If the product's price ever matches that amount, the item can be sold instantly at that price. As you know, when investing in Pokemon collectibles, a lot of people make a very fair argument that Pokemon products don't have immediate liquidity, though with Misprint, that is actually slightly becoming less of a thing. There's also a very cool misprice giveaway section, which has weekly giveaways, which include PSA 10 slabs. If a winner is chosen, they only need to pay $5 for the selected prize. Now, the best part is if you do sign up using my referral code, you actually get $5 off your first purchase. So definitely feel free to check out Misprint. All the details can be found within the description of this video. So as you can see right here, the main chase of the set, which is the Lillies Clefairy, has definitely taken a sharp decline from its pre-release price point, right? The pre-release price was 330 US, which is pretty expensive, but given how desired Journey Together was, and all these people just went, you know, so wild over it, like, oh, it's gonna be the craziest set ever, you know, it sold out straight away on Pokemon Center. Everyone was so hyped for it. You can now see the Lillies Clefairy is kind of sobering up. Right now, selling for $209. And I do use the word sober up because that's what it kind of feels like. It kind of feels like with Pokemon right now, people are just in these kind of, they're like in a trance, man. Like when a set releases, people just overspend so much to get the product. And don't forget, man, I really think with how the market's behaving, I do think that we are going to see some market pullbacks throughout this year. If you are kind of buying these cards or you are investing in collectibles, you kind of do need to have that very good overview of what's happening in the world. We can see the next one, which is the Salamence, and you can see this card, which I did think was actually going to overtake the Lillies Clefairy. It's kind of not really there at the moment, but you know, anything can happen as the years go on, right? Card on pre-release was selling for 238. Right now, finding a price point of 136 US. Definitely a strong card price, but you know, then again, man, is it gonna be able to keep climbing right now? From what I've heard from a lot of the community is that Journey Together has been surprisingly not that difficult to find in store. Now, booster boxes are quite challenging, but in terms of loose packs and, you know, people are finding booster bundles, and, you know, a lot of people have said that they've found luck with finding ETBs, which is really interesting, right? Because, you know, before all this, everyone was kind of anticipating that Journey Together would be super hard to find, very similar to Prismatic Evolutions, right? Now, Prismatic Evolutions, one thing that a lot of people are forgetting, right, is that Prismatic Evolutions even without the whole Pokemon hysteria and the Pokemon hype, probably would have been a very hard set to acquire. Maybe it wouldn't have sold out like what we've seen, but it always would have been heavily in demand because it is literally the first evolution set after Evolving Skies. Evolving Skies, a lot of people missed out on that set. A lot of people who are collecting already were anticipating that Prismatic Evolutions was going to be a big thing, right? So I think a lot of people just took that kind of mindset of what happened with Prismatic Evolutions and just applied it to Journey Together. But as you can see, maybe the roster of Pokemon within the set and the caliber of the artworks of Journey Together aren't really performing as people anticipated. Pair that with the fact that Journey Together does feature a lot of trainer Pokemon, right? Though one thing that collectors always seem to forget is that trainer cards have just never been that popular for the English Pokemon TCG, and no matter how much the enthusiasts try to make it happen, it just doesn't work out like anticipated. We're seeing this with Hop Zacian as well. You can see this card on pre-release selling for around $178. Right now selling for $82. Pretty big price decline. I have to be honest, this actually taken me for surprise. I didn't think Hop Zacian would actually tumble down to an $80 card, but the way it's looking right now, I wouldn't be surprised to see if this card continues to come down in price. Same thing when we're looking at the end Zoroark. You can see as well from 219 US, right now selling for 120. Definitely like a big chunk of value has been taken out of these cards, man. So, and you know, a lot of this has to do with, again, you know, sometimes a lot of the collectors think that they want trainer Pokemon, but really sometimes when Pokemon are just individually on the card, they usually perform better than trainer Pokemon. We can see this right now. It can be a little bit of a vocal minority as well, right? Because sometimes the real fans, they love these kind of, you know, unique or different aspects, but when you look on the majority, it's always a bit different, and you really need to sharpen your saw when you're thinking about this, right? Don't forget that Journey Together has a lot of Gen 5 kind of Pokemon, a lot of references to Gen 5, right? Gen 5, in terms of the Pokemon community, is super kind of loved online, on forums, you know, on Reddit. But when you actually look at that, Gen 5 didn't actually sell that well of a Pokemon game. But in terms of the fans online, everyone praises Gen 5 like it's untouchable, right? But the reality is when you're investing in collectibles, or if you want to purchase these Pokemon products, you do have to understand that Generation 8 Sword and Shield has much more fan demand. Scarlet and Violet has much more fan demand. You know, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but you know, Generation 1 has the kind of fan demand. Hoenn as well, right? Yes, it's cool, but it is more of your dedicated fans that really love Gen 5 that are more likely to be online talking and praising Gen 5. But really, when it comes to the buyer market, it really is heavily saturated with Generation 1, and that's usually what performs the best, right? Though it's interesting to know a reason why a lot of the prices are coming down is because of the Journey Together pull rates. Check this out. You can see here the special illustration rare, right? From TCG Player. Any SIR is 1 in 86, and a specific SIR is 1 in 518 packs. When we compare that with Surging Sparks, look at the difference, man. Surging Sparks was the mainline set before this, right? You can see, with Surging Sparks, you can see any SIR is 1 in 87, and a specific special illustration rare is 1 in 960 packs. So you can see when these are side by side, you can really see obvious data points on why they're not performing like others. Don't forget, Prismatic Evolutions pull rates are really difficult as well. So, you know, you got to look at the data, and I know Australians, we say data like that. I think, you know, for US and stuff, it's data. You know, for me to say data, it sounds a bit strange, right? So I'm going to do my data, okay? Because that's what I'm used to, right? But, you know, if you look at the data, that's what it's showing, right? Now, moving on to the Articuno illustration rare, you can see again, this card was selling for 64 US, and, you know, selling for 39 US for an illustration rare. After seeing the pull rates, you can actually see this Articuno's holding pretty well, but, you know, it is an awesome artwork. It is a Generation 1 Pokemon, so, you know, you do need to always take that into consideration when these singles are performing like this. Same thing with the Ends Reshiram, you can see as well, selling for 41 US, right now selling for 25. This one actually dipped quite heavily in value because a lot of people are expecting this card to go the opposite direction, but you can see definitely isn't able to hold that price point. Also, as these prices continue to move, if you do want the quickest market updates, there's actually a whole section dedicated to this on my channel's official Discord server. We've just surpassed 6,000 members. Feel free to join. The server invite is in the description of this video. And you can see the Journey Together ETB is actually coming down a fair bit. You can see the Journey Together ETB was selling for 129 US. That's not a Pokemon Center version. That is just the base ETB. And you can see right now selling for 77. And you know what? When you're looking at the singles prices, a lot of people are kind of looking at Journey Together now and being like, it's a good set, or it's a little bit above average, or you know, I haven't really figured my thoughts of Journey Together yet. I do think it's a good set, but do I think it's as great as people made it out to be? Definitely not, right? And I think that now this is kind of coming to light. I think a lot of people are now realizing, yeah, Journey Together is good, but it's not 10 out of 10. And I think a lot of people treated it like it was a 10 out of 10 set, right? And maybe, you know, Destined Rivals may follow the same thing, you know, because we're all looking at, oh, it's a Team Rocket set. Oh man, you know, Giovanni's Mewtwo. Oh, it's going to be so awesome. Oh, look at the box art. Maybe again, when Destined Rivals, it could potentially also have this kind of performance. Don't forget, when Pokemon 151 came out, those singles also went down in price. Again, then it kind of really picked up steam later on. And you know, I'm on eBay now, and you can even see the last sold was for 60 US. So you can definitely see the Journey Together ETBs are coming down in price, and quite quickly too. And moving on to Ionos Bellibont, you can see this was selling for $137, currently selling for $98. So this one's kind of hasn't really dropped too much, but then again, you know, Iono, really big fan demand there, because like I said, Generation 9 Iono, she's very relevant at the moment. She's very new, very trending. So, you know, for that reason, you can see how it's performing as well. You can even see the Hops Wooloo starting at 20 USD, right now selling for $8. You know, this is kind of what we're used to with illustration rares. Who knows, maybe in 2 years, we're gonna see these cards spike like all those illustration rares did, you know, a couple of weeks ago. But you know what? The market looks like it's coming back. Hasn't really come back to normal just yet. You know, we're still probably a little bit away from that, but we can definitely see the healing is beginning. You know, we can kind of feel like, hey, things are looking a bit more positive. You know, sometimes where a lot of people can go wrong is that they look at the Japanese TCG and they go, haha, it's going to be 1-for-1, because, you know, if the trainer cards are performing well for, you know, the Japanese set, that means the English set, they're going to perform well as well. But you know what? It's not always the case. One trainer card that really went the opposite direction of when it released was the Miriam, right? Check out the Miriam Special Illustration Rare. You can see I don't even have, I'm on the year data point here on TCG Player, but if I could even go back, this Miriam was selling for heaps, man. So you can see it was selling for around, you know, 35, went all the way to 41 US, currently selling for $25. But don't forget, when this card released, this was actually the chase card of Scarlet and Violet base. This was so heavily desired. Though Journey Together seems like it's in a very odd situation, right? Because part of me feels like it can continue to drop in value as people are just waking up to the fact that the set is decent. It's not incredible or 10 out of 10, it's decent. And it probably didn't deserve the amount of hype that it got early on. The one area I've noticed is just how expensive Pokemon booster boxes and Pokemon products are getting. And during these time periods, it's important to not over leverage yourself and overspend on the hobby. And if you are interested in how to collect Pokemon cards on a budget, I do answer that question right here. Within this video on screen, I look over how to collect Pokemon cards on a budget. If you're interested in that, I'll see you there.